Welcome back to our daily dive into the glamorous, cutthroat world of Los Angeles fashion. Today is a magnificent day to explore the shifting power dynamics, corporate espionage, and romantic entanglements that make our favorite daytime drama so utterly captivating. Grab your favorite beverage, settle in, and let us unpack the explosive new developments brewing behind the scenes that threaten to change everything we know. The opulent, monolithic halls of Forrester Creations are currently echoing with the profound, heavy silence of a sudden and dramatic departure. The abrupt exit of Ivy Forrester has left a palpable, gaping void in the corporate hierarchy, specifically within the highly lucrative and aesthetically vital jewelry division. For years, the gleaming display cases and intricate design boards were under the strict, sometimes controversial, purview of seasoned veterans who understood the ruthless mechanics of the industry. Now, the heavy, diamond-encrusted crown has been passed to a surprisingly young and untested heir. Electra Forrester, once the eager protégé operating in the shadow of her formidable aunt, suddenly finds herself thrust into the blinding, unforgiving spotlight as the newly appointed head of the Forrester Creations jewelry brand. This monumental promotion is not merely a change in title. It is a profound shift in the creative epicenter of the fashion dynasty, placing the weight of a legacy squarely on her fragile shoulders. The psychological weight of this sudden ascension cannot be overstated, and it threatens to consume Electra entirely. Electra is a young woman who has recently endured intense emotional trauma, having discovered that her own flesh and blood, Ivy, actively conspired to destroy her romantic relationship with Will Spencer. The betrayal was visceral, leaving Electra to question the motives of everyone around her and shattering her foundational trust. Now, she must channel that raw, agonizing heartbreak into creative brilliance. The jewelry division is not a sandbox for amateurs. It is a multi-million-dollar pillar of the Forrester empire that demands absolute perfection. Electra is stepping into a role that requires unwavering confidence and a ruthless business acumen that she may not yet possess. She is haunted by the ghost of her aunt's legacy, constantly battling the insidious whispers of imposter syndrome that echo in the quiet, lonely moments of her design studio. Ridge Forrester's decision to elevate Electra is a massive, high-stakes gamble that could either redefine the brand for a new generation or lead to a catastrophic financial failure. Ridge is a man driven by legacy and loyalty, but his patience for internal drama has worn dangerously thin after the recent corporate sabotage. By placing Electra at the helm, he is desperately hoping that raw, unjaded talent will triumph over seasoned, toxic manipulation. However, the fashion industry is a merciless beast that feeds on vulnerability and inexperience. Electra's promotion sends immediate shockwaves through the competitive landscape of Los Angeles, signaling to rival fashion houses that Forrester Creations might be exposing a soft underbelly. The transition from student to master is rarely seamless, and Electra's every move will be watched by predatory competitors who are eager to capitalize on any misstep she might make in her new executive capacity. Across the city, a different kind of storm is brewing within the imposing walls of Spencer Publications, where the newly minted Logan fashion brand is currently basking in the glow of an unprecedented global triumph. Katie Logan Spencer and Bill Spencer have executed a masterstroke of corporate aggression, launching their debut collection on massive billboards around the world. The success is staggering, intoxicating, and deeply controversial, given that the foundation of their triumph was built upon the stolen designs of the legendary Eric Forrester. Bill and Katie are riding a tidal wave of victory, their faces illuminated by the flashbulbs of an adoring press corps. Yet, beneath the surface of this glittering celebration lies a restless, insatiable ambition that cannot be satiated by a single victory. Bill Spencer is a shark who must constantly keep moving to survive, and he knows that a true fashion empire cannot rely solely on couture garments. This insatiable hunger for total market domination naturally leads Bill and Katie to the next logical battlefield, the highly lucrative world of high-end accessories and fine jewelry. They are acutely aware of the shifting tectonic plates at Forrester Creations and the sudden vulnerability of their rival's accessory line. Bill Spencer's network of informants and his own predatory instincts tell him that the Forrester Jewelry Division is currently resting in the inexperienced hands of Electra Forrester. To Bill, this is not a tragedy. It is an open invitation for corporate slaughter. He sees an unprecedented opportunity to strike a devastating blow to Ridge and Eric by launching a rival Logan jewelry line that could instantly eclipse Electra's fledgling efforts. However, Bill and Katie face a critical dilemma. They cannot launch a luxury jewelry brand with a novice designer. They need a heavyweight, a visionary whose very name commands respect, fear, and instant consumer desire. The search for this mythical designer leads to terrifying whispers of a name that has long been synonymous with both breathtaking beauty and unparalleled chaos. It is a name that sends shivers down the spines of the Los Angeles elite, a name that evokes memories of dark seduction, violent confrontations, and unmatched artistic genius. The name is Quinn Fuller. Quinn is not just a jewelry designer. She is an elemental force of nature whose creations are characterized by their bold, aggressive elegance. Her pieces do not merely accessorize an outfit. They dominate the room and command absolute attention. Her dark, avant-garde aesthetic is the perfect, twisted mirror to the classic, refined elegance of Forrester Creations. If Bill Spencer truly wants to obliterate the competition and establish the Logan brand as the supreme ruler of the fashion world, there is no weapon more lethal, more precise, and more devastating than Quinn Fuller. The prospect of recruiting Quinn Fuller to the Logan brand is a concept fraught with massive, explosive complications that could tear families apart. First and foremost is the deeply complex and historically toxic relationship between Quinn and the Spencer family patriarch. Bill and Quinn share a son, Wyatt Spencer, which means they are forever tethered by blood, even if their personal history is littered with betrayals, death threats, and bitter resentments. Bill knows Quinn's labyrinthine mind intimately. He understands her insatiable need for validation, her ruthless drive for perfection, and her capacity for unparalleled cruelty when she feels crossed or underestimated. He also knows that she is a mercenary who respects absolute power and limitless wealth above all else. If Bill approaches Quinn with an offer to bankroll her wildest creative visions, providing her with limitless resources to crush her former enemies, it is an offer she would find almost impossible to refuse. For Katie Logan Spencer, the idea of bringing Quinn Fuller into their corporate sanctuary is a terrifying, stomach-churning proposition. Katie is a woman of intellect, strategy, and distinct moral boundaries, whereas Quinn operates in a realm of pure, unadulterated, vindictive chaos. Katie remembers all too well the psychological warfare Quinn has waged on the Logan family in the past, leaving deep, unhealed scars. She remembers the manipulations, the kidnappings, the physical altercations, and the sheer madness that inevitably follows Quinn wherever she goes. Katie would undoubtedly serve as the desperate voice of reason, trying to remind Bill that dealing with Quinn is akin to juggling live grenades in a glass house. She would fiercely argue that the potential for a catastrophic public relations nightmare far outweighs the financial benefits of Quinn's undeniably brilliant designs. Katie's internal conflict would be agonizing, torn between her desire for the Logan brand to achieve supreme dominance and her primal instinct to protect her family from a known predator. However, Bill Spencer's moral compass has always been guided by the magnetic pull of the almighty dollar and the thrill of absolute victory. Bill operates on a level of ruthless pragmatism that often ignores emotional collateral damage, viewing human collateral as simply the cost of doing business. If Quinn Fuller can guarantee that the Logan jewelry line will generate hundreds of millions in revenue and humiliate Ridge Forrester, Bill will gladly tolerate her eccentricities, her venom, and her chaotic energy. He views himself as the ultimate corporate lion tamer, arrogant enough to believe that he can control Quinn and direct her destructive tendencies solely toward their mutual enemies. Bill would argue that business is war, and in war, you do not hire saints, you hire assassins. Quinn is the ultimate corporate assassin, and Bill is more than ready to hand her the sniper rifle aimed directly at the heart of Forrester Creations. The introduction of Quinn Fuller into this volatile corporate war would create a devastating, heartbreaking conflict for one specific, highly vulnerable individual, Will Spencer. Will is currently navigating an incredibly fragile and complicated romantic reconciliation with Electra Forrester. He loves her, he sees her raw potential, and he understands the immense, crushing pressure she is under as she attempts to prove herself as the new head of the Forrester Jewelry Division. Will knows that Electra is terrified of failing, that she is battling her own deep-seated insecurities, and that she desperately needs unwavering support and stability. If Will's own father, Bill Spencer, recruits a titan like Quinn Fuller with the explicit goal of crushing Electra's division, Will is suddenly caught in an impossible, agonizing crossfire that threatens to tear his soul apart. Will's internal conflict would be a masterclass in emotional torture, pulling him in two completely incompatible directions. On one hand, he is a Spencer, born and bred to conquer. He has been raised to revere his father's sprawling empire, to understand the ruthless nature of the business world, and to support the family's legacy at all costs. On the other hand, he is a young man desperately trying to protect the woman he loves from being emotionally and professionally obliterated by his own family. Will knows exactly what Quinn Fuller is capable of when unleashed. He knows that Quinn will not simply compete with Electra. She will attempt to humiliate her, to break her spirit entirely, and to prove that the young Forrester is nothing but a talentless imposter unworthy of the industry. Will would find himself forced to choose between blind loyalty to his father's ambitious warpath and his desperate, burning need to shield Electra from the coming storm. Furthermore, Will might even attempt to dangerously intervene, utilizing his intimate knowledge of Electra's designs and vulnerabilities to try and mitigate the damage from the inside. This could lead to intense, explosive, and irreversible confrontations between Will and his father. Bill would likely view Will's protective instincts as a pathetic sign of weakness, a betrayal of the formidable Spencer name for the sake of a fleeting, insignificant teenage romance. Bill would demand absolute loyalty, forcing Will to either fall in line and watch Electra be destroyed, or rebel against his father and risk losing his place within the Spencer empire forever. The psychological toll on Will would be immense, transforming him from a privileged heir into a tragic, paralyzed figure caught between two warring factions, unable to save the woman he loves without completely destroying his relationship with his own family. The potential return of Quinn Fuller also ignites a massive powder keg regarding the most bitter, deeply entrenched rivalry in the history of Los Angeles: the eternal, blood-soaked war between Quinn and Brooke Logan Forrester. Brooke and Quinn harbor a mutual, visceral hatred that is toxic, all-consuming, and seemingly without end. They have fought over men, over family loyalty, and over absolute power, exchanging physical blows and devastating verbal venom over the years. Brooke is already seething with a righteous, unyielding fury over Katie and Bill's decision to use Eric Forrester's stolen designs to launch the Logan brand. Brooke views this as a grotesque desecration of Eric's legacy and a deeply personal betrayal by her own sister. Her anger is a simmering volcano, waiting for the perfect, volatile catalyst to erupt and destroy everything in its path. If Brooke were to discover that Katie and Bill have not only stolen Eric's designs, but have also recruited her ultimate nemesis, Quinn Fuller, to spearhead their jewelry division, the resulting explosion would be apocalyptic. Brooke would view this as the ultimate, unforgivable insult, a declaration of total scorched earth war. The very idea of Quinn Fuller designing under the Logan name, a name Brooke has spent her entire life elevating, protecting, and defending, would be a psychological violation that Brooke simply could not and would not tolerate. Brooke would undoubtedly rally Ridge, Eric, and every single resource at Forrester Creations to launch a massive, unprecedented retaliation against Bill, Katie, and Quinn. The corporate rivalry would instantly devolve into a deeply personal, vicious vendetta, with Brooke leading the charge to destroy the Logan brand before Quinn can even sketch her first necklace. Quinn, of course, would absolutely revel in this chaotic, destructive environment. She's a creature who thrives in the darkness of conflict and feeds on the misery of her enemies. The opportunity to use the Logan brand, the very name of the woman she despises most in the world, to amass immense wealth and power would be a poetic, twisted victory that Quinn would savor with every breath. She would take sadistic, unbridled pleasure in knowing that every brilliant, diamond-encrusted piece she creates is driving Brooke closer to the edge of total insanity. Quinn would not just design jewelry. She would design intricate psychological torture devices aimed directly at the Forrester family. She would use her massive platform to publicly mock Brooke, to challenge Ridge's authority, and to systematically dismantle the delicate confidence of young Electra Forrester. This sets the stage for an epic, generational showdown in the design studios and boardrooms of Los Angeles. On one side, we have Electra Forrester, the young, inexperienced, but deeply passionate heir to the Forrester legacy. She is armed only with raw talent, the desperate need to prove herself, and a heavy, suffocating burden of a family name that demands absolute perfection. She is fighting for her professional life, her dignity, and her rightful place in the world. On the other side, we have Quinn Fuller, the seasoned, ruthless, and utterly brilliant dark queen of the industry. She is armed with decades of cutthroat experience, a complete and total lack of moral boundaries, and the limitless financial backing of the mighty Spencer Empire. It is a battle between innocent ambition and cynical mastery, between a fragile new beginning and a terrifying, destructive force of nature. The ultimate question is whether this intense, unforgiving crucible will completely break Electra or forge her into an unbreakable diamond. The fashion industry is notoriously merciless, and Quinn Fuller is a master of finding and exploiting the slightest weakness. Electra will have to dig deeper than she ever has before, finding a hidden reservoir of strength, resilience, and ruthlessness that she may not even know she possesses. She will have to learn to play the dangerous game, to anticipate Quinn's vicious attacks, and to counter them with designs that are so undeniably brilliant that they silence the critics and terrify the competition. This trial by fire could be the ultimate making of Electra Forrester, transforming her from a victim of her aunt's manipulations into a formidable, untouchable titan in her own right. Or it could be her tragic undoing, a cautionary tale of a young woman crushed beneath the wheels of a corporate war she was never equipped to fight. As the pieces on the chessboard are meticulously arranged by the power players, the citizens of Los Angeles hold their breath, waiting for the inevitable, earth-shattering collision. The stakes have never been higher, the familial alliances have never been more fragile, and the potential for absolute, devastating heartbreak has never been more profound. Will Bill Spencer actually unleash the kraken that is Quinn Fuller upon the fashion world, sacrificing his son's happiness for corporate greed? Will Electra Forrester survive the relentless onslaught, or will she crumble under the immense, suffocating pressure of expectations and sabotage? And how will the deep, underlying emotional currents between Will, Electra, and the warring families dictate the final outcome of this epic struggle? The stage is beautifully and terrifyingly set for a narrative explosion that will forever alter the landscape of the fashion industry. The only question remaining is, are you ready for the return of the ultimate disruptor? And do you want to see Rena Sofer step back into the chaotic, brilliant